Welcome to Everyday Life. Thank you for joining our podcast, Conversations Over Coffee. My name is Jen.
And I'm Dagda.
And we're going to hit you with the explicit content warning right off the bat. This podcast does include adult situations and adult language from time to time.
I'm an angel. I never fucking cuss.
Okay. Anyways, you ready to go?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's go. The way we talk about our immune system, like, they are our superheroes to a degree.
Yes, I'm my immune system superhero.
You can call me Immuno Boy.
Yeah.
Not man. You notice how I didn't say man.
Uh-huh.
I chose my words carefully. I'm a real boy. Yes, I know. You're a real boy now. It's okay.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Other than the pollen in the air, I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
You know, I had that sinus infection.
Mm-hmm.
Got over the sinus infection, and then all the pollen in the world said, you know what, Jen? We're going to come play now. So it's really gross because I can actually smell the pollen. How about you? How are you doing with your cold?
I'm doing all right. I mean, I'm starting to get past it. I have coughing fits, but it's mostly coughing up phlegm and stuff.
So at my job, when you go in sick, it's a beastly world of hell. So did they ask you if you were sick at all in the last week?
Some of the people did, but none of the bosses did.
Would you tell some of the people to stay away from me?
I said, yeah, I think it's my air conditioning unit blown out. Fucking.
Which I do truly firmly believe that that's what you thought it was the first 3 days.
Yeah. It wasn't until like the 5th day or so I was like, okay, maybe I do actually have a cold.
Yeah. Well, I know that I picked you up from work on the the 3rd day because I had an errand to run over in that area. So I remember picking you up from work, and I remember texting you going, hey, I'm going to be over there. You want to ride home? You're like, yes! And I was just like, you're that enthusiastic about a ride home? Yeah, you're not feeling good, and I know you're not feeling good. Yeah. But we're not going to tell my partner that you were sick.
I mean, it's pretty much over now.
Yeah, and he doesn't come into our office, really.
Yeah.
Usually he's only in here like twice a week. So, and that's usually like Wednesdays and either Saturday or Sundays. So not days when you're in here. Yeah. Because you know how he feels about germs. So.
Yeah.
Anyways.
One of the bosses said to me, because it was basically after the fact, was like, oh, our other boss is super sick, so you better not be sounding like that when she comes back.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, she's probably the one that got me sick because she was in the hospital by the time I even had anything going on. So.
Yeah. Well.
Not the other way around.
Yeah. Yeah, because the whole week before, from what I've heard from some of your coworkers, the whole week before, she was really tired and she'd actually stayed home a day or two or left early a couple of days just because she was just like, I'm not feeling right. And then, so yeah, probably it's a really tricky thing. Yeah. Because at my shop, it's the same policy. You don't come in if you're sick. But here's the thing. We work on a point system.
Yeah. And
it takes 6 months for that shit to go away. So, and I told you a story about a previous person who'd worked there, how they'd went through that whole rigmarole. Mm-hmm. The truth is always somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And if you're being told, because I would 1,100 billion% stand up for anybody who got fired if they were told to stay home while they were sick, whether they had the time covered or not. Because it's like a point system based on PTO time, right?
Yeah.
I would 1,000,000% be like, oh no, this individual at my shop walks around and is just like, if she hears one cough, she's like a cat running away from a cobra. What are you doing? Are you sick? Get the fuck out of my shop if you're sick. So I would stand up for him because, you know, right now at my shop, we have an issue with one person that every time they earn a minute of PTO time, oh, I'm sick. And it's so dramatic.
Mm.
And it's so dramatic. Well, this person's going to get finger banged for fucking making my boss sick because my boss got hospitalized. And, you know, and it's funny because they're going to get blamed because they came in to work, went to that individual's office, closed the door, and went, I think I'm sick. So I feel sorry for that individual when the boss gets back.
Yeah.
But anyways. It's just that time of year. Allergies are running rampant. We've got a couple of people who keep coming to sick to work, and they're spreading stuff around. And
it's herd immunity. It's fine.
It's just, yeah. Well, I know of at least 3 people right now at my shop who are sick, and they're actively sick, and they're working. And they may cover their mouth. One wears a mask, and the other 2 don't. One always covers their face, and one does not. And I literally looked at this individual who does not cover their face, who is sick, and I'm just like, you're not supposed to be here if you're sick. I don't have any more time. I don't care. I don't need points. I need my job, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I get it. Are you running a fever? No, my fever broke last night. Just cover up. Don't care. So they put a mask on when other bosses are around, but if I'm around, they just make sure they're 20 feet from me. But I caught him coughing on Saturday. And he's doing this, not covering his face, but he's putting his hand underneath his chin, and he's going, I'm just like,
the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, well, I'm glad you're feeling better. Sounds like it's just kind of going around everywhere. I know there was a big, not epidemic, but there was a big bum rush April, May time of influenza type B was going around Pierce County. So, anyways, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
I mean, you do, like I said earlier while we were still off mic, that like if your voice gets any deeper from this, I'm just going to like pretend like you're James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones Jr.
That's right.
Luke, I'm your father.
Right. No, you gotta go.
Mufasa.
Simba, this is Mufasa.
Simba, this is...
I am your father. The circle of life commences. Anyways,
a lion.
Right. So here's the interesting thing. So this episode we're doing right now is our 50th episode for season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the year. We're halfway through the year, halfway through the season.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do something kind of interesting. I think it's kind of interesting because like I was showing it to you and I couldn't even write everything down. I was just so blown away. So one of the things that we were known for a very long time, and then it kind of died back and is now kind of coming back again, is filming in the state of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually really shocked because I thought about 50 movies had been filmed here.
Yeah.
And the list I saw, which is not a complete list, was already at 163. Whether the full movie was filmed here or whether part of the movie was filmed here.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest shocker was for years growing up, Wolverines. Everybody had said the original Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze was supposed to be filmed in
Washington.
Spokane, Washington. It was not. It was filmed in Vegas, in Nevada, near Vegas. But it was actually filmed in Nevada, and it wasn't Calumet, Washington that they were supposedly this town was. It was Calumet, Colorado. And it's like, I think I finally caught that the last time I rewatched the original.
Yeah.
Which I have a little bit of a challenge watching because, Charlie Sheen's sober now. C. Thomas Howell got old, and Patrick Swayze died.
Yeah.
And so did Dean Stockwell, of course, from the original. So that was kind of shocking to me when I was like, what? Because I was asking you, can you think of any like right offhand?
Yeah.
And of course, what is the most popular? I think this is probably the easiest trivia question ever. There's 3 very popular movies that were filmed here in Washington that most people would say it's filmed in and around Washington.
I can only think of 2 other than the one we just were talking about. And that's The Hand That Rocks the Cradle and 10 Things I Hate About You.
10 Things I Hate About You.
Sleepless in Seattle.
Well, here's the thing. When you ask people, the 3 most popular movies people will say, number 1 is always 10 Things I Hate About You. Stadium is iconic. Now, let me tell you something.
High school is pretty cool.
Until you're actually in it. The ceilings are low. You feel like there's a giant sitting on a box, like that's too heavy to be sitting on a box. It's really... The stadium itself looks really cool. Yeah. The visuals is beautiful.
Yeah.
But that is one thing I noticed about Stadium was like the ceilings aren't that high when you're watching teenage boys raise their hand and touch the ceilings flat.
Yeah, I've only been inside the building itself one time, and that was a long time ago. And I think I only went into the hallways. I don't think I ever went into a classroom or whatever.
I didn't go into classrooms, but I went through the hallways, and of course I worked in the cafeteria area several years ago. So I don't know how it's changed since then.
Yeah, because I think they renovated it since. Yeah. That was like.
I can't
remember if I was in the Army at the time, because I did come and hang out with a friend who was living in Tacoma at the time, and we went to Stadium High School specifically. But I don't remember if we went because it had like an open house or something like that.
Yeah.
Or if it was when I was still in high school, because that was in the 90s,
Yeah.
right? So it would have been.
So they started renovations a few years after 10 Things I Hate About You, which came out in 99, I think.
Okay.
So, but you might have went to the open house because they did hold an open house there so everybody could see the school as it was before they started renovations, because I was actually working in that cafeteria at the tail end of renovations.
Okay.
So it's pretty interesting. But so there's the three films, and depending on what generation you are, Gen Xers almost always say 10 Things I Hate About You is the first one they think of.
Yeah.
Millennials will say Twilight because it's based out of Forks, Washington.
Yeah.
But boomers, almost all boomers say An Officer and a Gentleman because it was filmed in Port Townsend with Richard Gere. And he was I had an aunt who, although she was played for the other team and she was a wonderful lesbian woman, she drove up there. According to her, she drove up there and met him when he was, but she didn't want to meet Richard Gere. She wanted to meet Louis Gossett Jr., but she met Richard Gere.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. I mean, Richard Gere, I don't know. He's a good looking guy. He's not my cup of tea. I'm more of I like the Mickey Rourke kind of guy, rough. Not after his surgery rough.
I was going to say.
Yeah, not that kind of rough. Not that kind I don't, I like, they really screwed him on that one. Yeah. Like a giant sat on his face and it was too heavy to sit down or something. I don't know. Anyways, so those are the three that most based on just like what each generation would. Now, Gen Z, it kind of goes back and forth whether they would say Twilight or they would say
10 Things.
10 Things, yeah, because they're that cusp generation. They're 80 to 84, so a lot of them probably would say 10 Things. I think most of them say 10 Things, but some of them do say other things. And I just think that depends on where you are. And I've had people say to me several times, Twilight was filmed here, and I'm just like, part of Twilight was filmed here. Well, look that's how you cough, right? I need to have you teach that to some people at my job.
Really self-explanatory.
Right. So I looked at it, and then like I said, it kind of blew my mind because I thought there was maybe 50 movies. Because when I was a kid, in Pierce County, my mom worked in Pierce County. She did a very specific job. But I remember they were filming movies here, and she was so mad because they were filming and it slowed her down to get to work. It was such an inconvenience because they would close the roads and it was just go film somewhere else.
Yeah.
I love you, Mommy.
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Mommy. Just saw her the other day. So anyways, so I Love You to Death was filmed in 1990 in the north end of Tacoma and in downtown Tacoma. And of course, it's got Kevin Kline in it, and it's super great.
Okay.
It's super hilarious. It's based on a true story. 10 Things I Hate About You, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. This is one I didn't know because I was so hyper-focused, but then it's like when on reflection, And that is, of course, my favorite movie of all time, Say Anything, 1989. Had shots here in Pierce County and shots up in Seattle. Like, I know exactly where some of the shots are, too. And I'm like, oh, my God, I know that. And, like, sometimes I get really excited and go, oh, when I was working lawn care, I sprayed that lawn, So just like The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, I sprayed that property as well, that it's modeled after. I sprayed that lawn for like 2 years before they put it up for sale. So that's like really interesting to me. Let's see. Born to Be Wild. And a really good movie I really like. A lot of people don't like because it has to deal with abuse. Is the Jennifer Lopez movie Enough with is it Billy Campbell that's in it as the abusive husband, and she fakes her own death to get away, and then she ends up killing him legally. It's so good when she meets it. It's so great. Three Fugitives was filmed. Union Station was done some of the shots down in Tacoma, so that's pretty interesting. But you've got other stuff like War Games had some stuff filmed here.
Okay.
You of course big iconic when you're going a little bit more south right before you hit that Thurston County line. You've got Rose Red that was filmed all over Pierce County, including a really small town by the base called Tillicum.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've actually seen the outside of the house live and in person that it's based off of, so that's really interesting. And way back in the 50s, there was a war movie called To Hell and Back that was filmed around here. They just did they're considering it a mainstream movie. It's something called Passenger. I didn't read much about it, but they just wrapped filming up in Seattle.
Ah.
So that'll be interesting to see more. So yeah, so I was doing this research because I thought, well, this is really cool because in my mind, I'm like, there's 50 movies that were filmed here.
Yeah.
And it's our 50th episode. Well, this is great. No, there's so many. There's so many, but I did write some down. And so when you go onto Washington filmmaking, when you go to look at like movies that were filmed in Washington, you can go look at the filming office, and it puts out a list, and it's just like, these ones were also made here as well, or filmed here in part or whole.
Yeah.
And so it does this rotating list, but right now what they are publicizing is, hey, filmed in Washington is a movie with Joel Edgerton. It's on Netflix right now. It's called Train Dreams. And I'm just like, okay, I've heard of that. It's about the expansion of the railroad.
Okay,
And a guy's
it's a movie for Sheldon.
Sheldon or Bogey. Then Penelope, which I actually really like that movie with Christina Ricci.
I don't know.
It's a girl who's got a pig nose on her face, and she's trying to find true love. Anyways, something called 213 Bones, Going Home, Safety Not Guaranteed, Midday Black, Midnight Blue, Three Busy Devers, which I'm not going to lie, I'm sure it's a great film, but it looked like a total see you next Tuesday fest. I was like, so I didn't bother reading about that one. Different Drummers, Lucky Them, something called Laggies that has Keira Knightley in it. It's a rom-com movie.
Okay.
But Keira Knightley was here in our state, and you didn't even get to lick her toes. Poor you. I don't know a nicer way to say you would have totally worshipped her. At Middleton, East of the Mountains. In that one, East of the Mountains has Tom Skerritt in it.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. The Architect. Something called Touchy Feely. Yep. The Details.
Okay.
John Carpenter's The Ward. Fat Kid Rules the World. Mind Games, which is a psychological thriller. West of Redemption. Something called 7 Minutes. Tim Travers, and Dreaming Wild. So those are all like, when you go to the filmography office, it's always like, hey, these were also filmed here. And based on what I could read, they rotate them out every so often. Because it'd just be great if it was easier to navigate the website better. But it's really all about, the website itself is all about selling itself. Why you should film here and not there, and we'll save 10% when you sign up now for 3 weeks or whatever. And it's just like,
yeah, I did just see a news article I told you about the other day where they were like, is Tacoma becoming the new Hollywood?
Yeah.
So,
I think honestly, I think it's because there's so many vacancies downtown.
There's that.
I mean, Tacoma is, I think, isn't it the second or third biggest city in Washington? Or at least in Western Washington. You've got Seattle. I mean, I don't know. I would have to look at the numbers a little bit better, because I know in the city of Tacoma, without the base, I believe there's roughly 210,000 people now. And Seattle is like 500,000, I think.
I think Tacoma might be the 4th largest.
Yeah?
I know I think it's Spokane.
Uh-huh.
I think that's the 2nd largest city.
Well, I've said in Western Washington, not all of Washington.
But I think some of the, like Bellingham or whatever, some of the other cities that are up around closer to Seattle and north of Seattle, I think a couple of those are actually the 2nd and 3rd or whatever largest city in Western Washington, let's say.
Maybe. I've been up to Wellingham. I've been up into Bellingham, and it really was like, I didn't actually see that many people. Where the house that we were moving for a military member, which is so hilarious. That move was just hilarious all around. Yeah. But like, there were 10 people on their 1.5 mile long block. It was like, literally, it was just salt and peppered in the cul-de-sac. They were at the very end on this street. It was basically a dead end cul-de-sac, whatever you want to call it. And they were in the middle, and then there was one to each side. And then there was 7 salt and peppered up and down the rest of the road. But it was like 1.5 mile long drive.
Yeah.
It was like...
Well, one of the funny things about Washington is the area that's referred to as Cascadia.
Yeah.
Which is basically, I believe the southern limit of it is Portland, Oregon. But basically everything between Portland and Seattle, it's basically one continuous city.
Yeah.
Because the population is so dense through the I-5 corridor there that essentially...
You don't even have to be on I-5 to get from Seattle to Portland, Oregon. You literally can take surface streets.
Yeah, all the way. There's a couple spots where it thins out a bit.
Yeah.
Especially towards the southern part of Washington.
Yeah, when you get a little closer to Vancouver, Washington.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's one continuous city. And it goes up farther than Seattle even.
Yeah. Like, people do not realize that Bellingham is so much further north of Seattle than you think. I think it's like another hour and a half or 2 hours north of Seattle.
Yeah.
It's a long frickin' drive. The shop I worked out of was in Lakewood, Washington. Mm-hmm. And so myself, my partner, and then Mr. P, who rode with us that day to do this job a couple of days before Thanksgiving, we went up on a Sunday. We left at 6:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. We did 2 10-minute stops and still didn't arrive at the house until almost 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that's on a Sunday.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But
also, it's kind of funny for people from like Europe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, why do you have to own a car?
Right.
Because the states in the United States are pretty fucking big, except for a few. And so if you want to go someplace, you're going to be driving for hours a lot of times.
Well, what's interesting is, so, Washington has a lot of beautiful architecture, beautiful areas. Like, if you are somebody who wants to walk everywhere in the world, you need to find an apartment somewhere in Seattle.
Yeah.
If you want to walk everywhere, because you can, if you find the right place, you can go to Pike's. If it's your thing, which I can't stand it, but if it's your thing, you can go to Pike Place Market. You can walk to the Metro Market. You can walk to, T-Mobile Field. You can walk to the piers. You never ever, but you'd just be better off to have like an e-bike and get around Seattle much easier that way. But just, like anywhere else in, Pierce or King or Thurston County, lock your bike up.
Yeah.
Because thieves are everywhere. And they don't even have to be homeless. So, everybody already knows Washington has a homeless problem. I mean, for God's sakes, my dad lives a little bit more out closer to what we would call country around here. Mm-hmm. It's not country like you grew up, but it's the in-between country.
Yeah.
It wishes it was country, but too many people live there. And there is literally 3 blocks from his house, there is a tent city in the middle in the middle of this hasn't been developed land yet.
Yeah.
And the homeowners can't get them off.
Yeah.
The homeowners can't get them off because people are like, we'll buy it and we'll develop it, but you got to get the homeless out of there that have been there for 7 years now.
Yeah, there's been a problem with that out in the small town that I grew up in.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the worst part about it is that one of the biggest areas where it's happening is one of the nicest areas.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Clear Lake, and it's a really nice lake. And then there's all these properties around it.
Yeah.
And some of them are, like, summer homes for rich people or whatever. And so there were a bunch of homeless people moving in and basically busting into these
empty houses,
and squatting in them and shit.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I actually, so my brother-in-law is a real estate agent, and one of the people who work with him or for him, I'm not sure how to say it right, so we'll just say with him.
Yeah.
So they both just listed houses out in Clear Lake. And what's really weird is I looked at the address because when you do military moving and storage, you do a lot of things to Clear Lake, including have no fucking internet access. Jesus Christ. You got no cell phone. You got no internet. And that's just because of the restrictions there.
Yeah.
Because the community could have paid to have better ran out there, but they don't. They have there's only one internet you can get, and either that or you can have good luck with satellite. So
there's only one cable company out there, unlike a lot of other places where they have multiple.
Yeah. We don't. We're in Washington. We have 3 choices depending on what county you're in.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
I mean, when I lived out there as a kid, they had just put in cable line down my street.
Uh-huh.
And my grandparents was like, oh, let's see what this is all about. And so they fucking got it. We had it for whatever the minimum contract was. And
3 months back then.
Yeah. Because they're like, this is bullshit. We don't fucking watch that much television, blah, blah, blah.
We're going back to Lawrence Welk.
And then they bought one of those fucking old school
satellite dishes?
Yeah. The ones that you actually could program to the different satellites.
That neighbor who's by you, that they had the first satellite dish. I grew up just a couple blocks from where you live, so you know which one I'm talking about by the school. They had original one.
Yeah.
I remember being there and watching them come outside with this huge thing and bebopping on it. It was like, what?
Yeah.
But that goes back so many moons. But anyways, back to movies. So we've had a lot of stuff filmed in and around here. So it's really interesting, just depending on what generation you are, what you're going to remember. But so Sleepless in Seattle, I'd completely forgot about that. and you know what's really funny is I've actually been to the top of the Space Needle, and I've actually gone out, and I remember going through the door to go out onto the observation deck. And then I remember my teacher slapping me kind of on the face, going, "Are you okay?" I have an extreme fear of heights. The same thing happened when we were going up. Like, I was facing away. I had my back to the glass. I wasn't looking outside. I was looking at the door, waiting to get up. And I mean, when I was in 6th grade, like, that was my favorite teacher in the whole world. Mm-hmm. And I just adored her to death. And so I was just staring at the door. And they're like, she's like, "Oh, you need to watch this." I'm like, "No, I don't. No, I really don't. I don't want to. And, you know, so when we were up and we were inside, it was fine. It was great. It was so cool. We went up there and we got to have these sack lunches that was specially prepared for us and blah, 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 blah. But it was going out on the opposite. You know, I remember stepping through that door, and that's the last thing I remember before she, like I said, she's kind of, I wouldn't say slapping me on the face, but more like shaking me because this wait staff's going, "Should we call 911? Yeah. I'm like, "I'm okay. I don't know what happened, but I'm okay." Yeah. Yeah. It used to be almost that bad going across the Narrows Bridge too. So I totally forgot about Sleepless in Seattle, even though that's such an iconic scene. And I think it's because it's filmed in so many different locations. Yeah. Sometimes the title just gets you. But yes, if you ever watch Sleepless in Seattle, yes, some of our inlets and our bays are really that beautiful. Yeah. I think one of the most beautiful ones we have is out in Pierce County in Tacoma, not too far from Titlow Beach. Yes, it's called Titlow Beach, which I always find funny.
There's a whole bunch of Native American name stuff out here in Washington. So,
but we have a place. We have a marina. It's a little inlet, and it's called Lemon Beach. Okay. And it's not too far. It's maybe about. So Titlow's off of 6th Avenue, and Lemon, I believe, is off of 19th, way down by the water. Okay. So they're you know, like what, less than 2 miles apart. Yeah. You know, and it's really beautiful. And then of course, if you go down into Thurston County, you've got Johnson Bay, you've got Oyster Bay, you've got all these really beautiful places. So yes, it is a beautiful place. I just, you know, I personally kind of vote that we just wall off Seattle. Just saying. Okay, so anyways, let's see. The Ring. Part of The Ring was filmed here.
Oh, really?
Yes.
The original one? Or
the original from 2002. And I was just like, how did I not see Sarah Michelle Gellar? It's like so crazy. But part of it was filmed in Port Townsend because up there at that area, they get really foggy, misty mornings, and they wanted that eerie effect.
Well, that was around the time, I was telling you about this, that in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a bunch of movies and television shows and stuff being made in Washington because of the restrictions and the high cost of filming in California, because there's a whole bunch of, you must do this, you must have these people involved in your film. Yep. So they were coming up here to cut costs, and then later they ended up going to British Columbia instead, because Washington started kind of imposing the same sort of rules. Yeah. But yeah.
And you know what's interesting is I really think for Washington, I think not only was it was only a few hours drive for, you know, like it's like a day's drive or whatever, train ride or whatever, from where they normally film down in Hollywood and all that, and Los Angeles and everything, you know, but there's creature comforts up here if you're from California. Starbucks was a big, huge thing. I don't know if you remember way back in the 90s, but Tommy Lee, the drummer for Motley Crue, he actually had a Starbucks, like basically for his kitchen version, filmed. I mean, he had it installed in his house. He paid for it. He got it installed. He paid to get trained by the baristas. So he does his own Starbucks coffee every day at his house. So I think, but that was like 93 where I saw that, or 94. Okay. there's one time a few decades ago. But what's really interesting is we actually have all these creature comforts here in pretty much every county. Mm-hmm. I mean, honest, in Western Washington, you know, you've got ramen bars, you've got sushi, you've got high-end, you know, steakhouses and all. You've got that scattered throughout the state.
Yeah.
And then you've got Starbucks, of course, that was hear my version, hear my words, was super iconic here.
Yeah.
Even though I have always felt that Tully's was much better. Mm. I've always enjoyed Tully's much better. So you have all these creature comforts.
I mean, now it's the same thing, right?
It is. Dun, da, da, da. McDreamy. It really, yeah. I'm going to come in and save Tully's for a year. Thanks for trying hard, buddy. Anyway, I was really sad when Tully's went away. But anyways, well, their coffee shops, at least in Pierce County and Thurston County, as far as I can tell, have gone away. I don't know if there's any left in King County. Because they're still producing their Tully's coffee, which is great.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. They still have their Tully's whole roasted bean coffee, which is the exact same stuff they used.
Well, I mean, Starbucks, before it became a coffee shop, it was a coffee distribution company.
Yep, it was coffee roasters.
Part of the reason why old dude came back after he got successful with coffee shops and bought Starbucks.
Yeah.
He wanted the name, but also he wanted their distribution.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I bet Seattle's regretting some of their decisions lately. Bye-bye, Starbucks. Anyways, so I don't want to get into that because I'm going to get mad. I get angry. And here's the thing why it makes me angry. It's because, everybody's just like, oh, rich people should pay more. It's like, you know what? I don't necessarily want them to pay more, but I sure as fuck wish they'd pay their employees better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really interesting, it's for another episode. I'm going to leave it at that because the bottom line is the person who owns and operates Costco, he tops out his wages at less than $500,000 a year, I think it is, or it's just around $500,000 a year. And he makes sure everybody gets paid. Even with the new statistics, it's still a livable wage. There's a difference between a living wage and a livable wage. Because I believe over at Costco in Pierce County, they're starting out close to $20 an hour, which is, it's like 20% above minimum wage, which makes it closer to a livable wage, especially if you're living with somebody where you already own your house. Because a living wage for Pierce County is like $28 an hour for a single person. Seattle is almost $40 an hour. That's what they consider a living wage because of how much expensive everything is.
Yeah.
And it's really sad that you can go look at Florida at the complete opposite end of the world from us. And it's like their living wage is like $19 or $21 an hour. It's so crazy. Yeah. Anyways.
North Carolina and all that. It's like,
North Carolina.
You need $5 an hour.
Right. Well.
That's an exaggeration.
It is. But if you can go maintain an acre of land in the forest by yourself, I mean, you got squatters' rights. So there you go. It's not too far-fetched. Let me tell you what, squatter rights is a whole nother episode itself because it's. Anyways, so one of my favorite movies from back in the day, which I really love because I really enjoy John Lithgow, Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, yeah. But
it was filmed in North Bend and the Wenatchee Forest. So that is super hyper cool because it's like the whole thing was filmed here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that is so neat. And of course, Officer and Gentleman, Port Townsend, we talked about that. So, but the Red Dawn remake in 2012 featuring the delicious Chris Hemsworth. It is actually, most of it was filmed in Spokane, Washington.
Yeah.
Which is, east of us, but, whatever. And then you've got Free Willy 1 and 2 that were filmed up in the San Juans.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They were filmed around the San Juan Islands because of our orca population.
Yeah.
Population. I know how to speak better English than that. And then this was a cool one I found today, The Hunt for Red October. And that one was, of course, filmed up around Port Townsend.
Okay, yeah.
Which totally makes sense, right? Yeah. I mean, I was thinking it would have been either, Naval Base Kitsap or Naval Base Everett, but, so I don't know.
Also, they might have said this is the location, even though they filmed it in one of those places just for...
Well, yeah, they did the water filming in Port Townsend. So they did a lot of the scenery filming in Port Townsend because what was interesting about Red October was they literally said filming on a subs is just not an option.
Yeah, they're not built for people walking by a camera.
Yeah.
So therefore, having a dude standing in the middle of the fucking hallway or whatever the fuck you call it.
Yeah.
With a camera while people are walking through is not fucking,
Yeah, so what they did for at least half the film, they built 250 square foot sound stages to replicate each submarine. Nice. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I was just like, for some reason, in my brain, I'm just like, when I'm thinking back to the movie, I'm like, that's some really fucking good detail. But so this whole these sound stages were actually built in California. Some of the filming was there, and then they were brought up to Port Townsend for more. And I'm just like, and all I'm thinking is, unless you told me, I would have not thought that wasn't part of a real sub.
Yeah.
Because, it's just like, it's so cramped, it's dark, it's dingy, and it's, it's not like Battle, what's the newer Hasbro movie, Battlefield with Taylor Kitsch and Rihanna and all that, where the aliens come down at Battleship. Battleship. Yeah. Not like that, where everything is so bright and there's so much room for everybody to karate chop each other. It's crazy. But so I thought it was really cool that we have all these different films that were done here. And then, of course, if we go to the way back, which the way back for me is, not that far back, to be honest. But you've got Twin Peaks, which was filmed a little closer to, I think it was like Rosemont or Cle Elum, so it was over in the past. And then, of course, one of my favorite funny zombie shows was filmed in and around Spokane as well. Do you happen to know what that might be?
Z Nation.
Z Nation. And I actually what's really funny is I remember it was being filmed here. And I remember thinking one day, oh, man, it would be really cool to meet the lead guy. And then he turned into a Smurf, and I was like, I don't ever want to see him.
And then later, spoiler alerts, he turned red.
Yeah, I don't even think I finished that. I mean, I finished the season, but
yeah, I haven't seen the
I think the last 2 episodes I can't remember because I watched them in anger. I think because I remember being so mad that they canceled the show when it was doing so good and they just canceled it.
Yeah,
and then trying to get a hold of a DVD that'll play in the States of United. Good fucking luck, Chuck, on that one.
Yeah, I think one of our former mutual friends is still complaining about the fact that it went to Netflix because the last season he can't find a DVD for it.
I can't even find it on Netflix now.
Yeah.
And it's all, I'm telling you, it's a giant conspiracy because they all fucking rotate them around anyways. 1 month it'll be here, 1 month it'll be there. I do this thing and I got you laughing earlier. So I watch Twilight quite often. The whole series, I watch it probably 3 times a year. Fortunately. But here's the unfortunate part is I'm always thinking, okay, this time I watch it, she'll make better decisions. She'll make better choices. And she never does.
Yeah.
And it's so disappointing because it's just like, what's wrong with you, Bella? You are in Washington. And, the only excuse I can think of is that she was in Arizona, right? She was in Arizona. It was really hot. Then she was going to be in Florida where it's just as hot, right? So she just needed something to cool her down because she couldn't stand the heat. Because anybody who's from Washington, almost anybody that's reasonable and logical would pick the wolf every time. So I watch it, like I said, about 3 times a year. I watch the whole series because I keep expecting her to make a different choice, and she doesn't. It never changes, and I would really love to see them do a reunion movie for them with the daughter all grown up and everything.
Okay.
Because I know that there's another book they could do, but I don't know. I don't know. I go back and forth. I want to read the books just because I want to see the differences between A and B. But I had somebody in the shop who bought I literally bought every single book except for Breaking Dawn Part 2. So she bought Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, all of it.
Okay.
She found them all. And I was just like, oh, the one day I don't check the book section. Fuck, right? Because I'm always looking for Butcher. Anyways, she was just like, yeah, this is really great, especially, if...
Octavia?
Especially if you have a weekend by yourself.
James?
I'm gonna hurt you. Anyways, but she's like, basically, it's just like porn. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in reading that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
She said it's basically a whole bunch of sex stuff. And I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, that's one of my pet peeves, I guess you could call it, with the urban fantasy genre, is that a lot of it is basically romance novels.
I like action. I like adventure. I like Dresden. Although he does have one sex scene. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I'm like, I specifically haven't even. That's one of the reasons why when I started listening to Dresden on the audiobooks this morning, I couldn't remember where that one was. So I was just like, I'm definitely going way forward to where I know it's not.
Yeah. I mean, there's at least 3, 4, and one coitus interruptus sex scene.
Yeah, but the thing is they're not like in Butcher. There's only one sex scene.
Yeah,
it's graphic.
It's kind of graphic into it, yeah.
Like, all I can, and God bless him, because I think Jim Butcher is great. I think he's a great Gen X writer. I think that's why I like his stuff so much, is because some of the things he says or Harry says is exactly what you would say as a Gen Xer.
Yeah.
Oh, look, the idiot troop has arrived. Well, how are you doing? Yes, I would like your master dead on a platter. Didn't I just say that? So I really like that aspect. But yeah, that was just like, every time I think of that scene, I think, oh my God, he must have been like, honestly, it reminds me of something that you would have seen on
Skin Wax?
No, it's a bondage. It's a bondage filming site. We used to sell.
Oh, fuck. The place with the castle?
Something like that. But anyways, I keep thinking, oh, he was watching a bondage movie or something, because holy crap, that's descriptive. And
Kink.com.
Hey, there we go. That was my view into Butcher. I'm like, oh, so you like Kink.com. Okay, that's exactly what I think is, oh my God. But I'm not accusing him of your kink's your kink. I don't care. But that's what it reminded me of, was somebody watching a scene and descriptively putting it in there.
Okay,
because there was parts of it that were kind of, anyways. So yeah, but yeah, so we have lots of movies that have been filmed here. And I know, did you read the entire article on that? Because
I just saw the headline because I was waiting for something I don't remember. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Well,
moved on.
Well, what's really interesting is we actually have quite a few entertainers that are from this region.
Yeah.
You've got Blair Underwood, who's from like Tacoma. You've got Kimberly Kane, who's from Tacoma Spanaway.
Yeah.
You've got Linda Evans, who lives up north. You've got Sir Mix-a-Lot Anthony Kane, who's over on the. He's not on the other side of the mountains, but every time we talk about him, he's on the east side. He went and did a whole big long time in Japan, and I actually several years ago, and I actually met him before. I giggle it. I've met him twice now. Like, actually met him in person, not when I'd see him walk through my high school to pick up one of his artists. But every time I saw him, I just giggle. I can't help it. I'm like, because he is so. Like, you see his videos and you watch his My Posse on Broadway, Buttermilk Business, like any of it, and and you're like, oh, he's a good looking dude, right? And you're like, wow, he's kind of got chubby cheeks. No, in real life, he has really chubby cheeks. He's like, gives Santa a fucking run for his money, and he's so polite, and he's a very much a yes, please, no, thank you, yes, ma'am, no, sir. I mean, he's so polite, and he's so, but anyways, so we have a very rich history here, and we're kind of the middle ground for a lot of places, when you talk about Washington, because now they do so much filming in British Columbia now, and up on the other side of the border up by Blaine and everything, that there's a lot of celebrities who drive through routinely.
Yeah.
They don't all take a plane. Some of them are like, no, I'm going to drive and hit my favorite spots. And I can actually remember when I was a kid that 21 Jump Street was filming up in British Columbia. And I remember me and my best friend had went to over to the Tacoma Mall when it was actually a mall and not a shopping center. And we were there, and I very distinctly remember seeing 3 celebrities on one weekend. And what's funny as an adult now is the person I thought was the hottest guy from 21 Jump Street was the white guy, Peter DeLuise.
Okay, yeah.
He was big and he was burly and he was built like a lumberjack. Yeah. I thought he was hot. And he had this dude with him, and he was kind of this scrawny Indian looking guy. I mean, he was okay, but he was not a Peter DeLuise. And so we saw them on a Saturday And then on Sunday, there was an artist who was in, and he was signing, he was at the, this dates us, Sam Goody.
Okay.
And he was signing cassette singles.
Yeah.
And full cassette tapes and even vinyls. He was signing them. And that artist's name was Tommy G. And so fast forward a few years, and I heard that Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, these two girls, were going to be doing a free show at the mall. And it was just like, I'm a fucking adult. I don't want to, because my ex-husband's just like, hey, I need to run over Sears and get something. I'm like, they're doing some kids party over there. I'm not, go by yourself. And it was like a year after she was here, she blew up. Yeah. Just like Evanescence in 2002, I think. Either 2000, 2002. They did a free show that I had an opportunity to go to. But no, I didn't go because I went and made triple pay working at True Green because I was working, I call it triple pay because I'd already been in money. Mm-hmm. And so I was making a lot more doing commercial jobs that night. Okay. Didn't go there. They had a show there that was like packed house. Then they did a show at Jazz Bones, and I tried to go to Jazz Bones and do that, but it was sold out. It was 100 people only. Fuck off. And it was just like,
I was gonna say Jazz Bones kind of small, so.
Yeah, they had 100 people. It was 100 people were gonna get in. That's all it was. But the one, we call it Hell's Kitchen. I think it used to be called Hell's Kitchen. I think it might be called Dawson's now in Tacoma. There's a bar down there. Yeah. But like 400 people were in and around the bar when it happened. Yeah. And I feel bad because I'm just, but that's back when Ben Moody was with the group. And I was talking to somebody at work about this. I was like, just like, it's so crazy, the missed opportunities. Yeah. You don't think about it. But it is cool if the filming industry is going to come more here, which is really great because I actually have an acquaintance that I've known for several years. And he's an actor. And he's done little bit parts here and there. And of course, he does a lot of the local independent movies. Mm. And he just got a bigger part in something else. So he's really excited about that. He should be in the middle of filming right now because I think he was filming June, July, August. And then him and the team of people that he works with locally, they just, there's a competition they do every year. And so they did it was an homage to Jurassic Park. So they did like some of the most iconic scenes. They recreated it. And he played Sam Neill's character, where he's like either Sam Neill or the other guy in Jurassic Park 1, where he's like hunting, and then he realizes he's being hunting. So not Sam Neill, the other guy. Okay. Where he's like, hey, steady girl or whatever. And he did a good job.
Clever girl. There was a series of movies called Gamers that was actually filmed here. And I know. Local people, yeah.
I know. And I know his mom. I used to take care of his lawn, and I actually got to see one of his dungeon sets.
I actually gamed with one of the dudes from the show, from that movie.
His parents are really neat. I think he gets his love of the fan. Like, when you talk to the family, you don't know if it comes from mom and dad or if it's just like flows back and forth. But they were my favorite customer when I worked for True Green. They were my favorite customer to go treat their lawn because every Halloween was a different setup. And one of the years they basically did a miniature, obviously, that it was a pirate ship with a graveyard. A pirate ship crashed into a graveyard. It was really neat. And I remember talking to the mom, and she's like, do you want to see something really neat? So she goes, my son, he does all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm always hoping for him, because I remember seeing him when he was like, because I treated them for several years. Mm-hmm. And I remember seeing him when he was like 15, 16, maybe, maybe 15 or 16, maybe a little bit younger. And he's just like, I've got this idea. And I remember him telling me this idea. And I'm like, bro, I'm a gamer. So yeah, that sounds cool. But like, I'm a different kind of gamer than he is. Yeah. Right. And I remember, so she was like, come here and check this out. And in the garage was this dungeon setup that ended up, I don't remember if it made it into the movie or if it got scrapped from the movie, but it was one of the movies so they had just set this like dungeon tavern scene up or something. I don't know. But I remember she was just like showing me all this, and she always showed me what was going on when they were there. So I'd seen several different scenes set up in the garage. Nice. I'm just like, that's crazy. But like to walk into the garage and literally it's just like, you wouldn't even know this was ever a garage, but they always had the most fantastic Halloween displays, Christmas lights galore. So one year that they participated in that area's local like Christmas lights thing. Yeah, it really looked like Santa was truly bounding through their yard and everything. And it was so funny because I had to go spray their lawn, and I'm like, man, this is a lot of lights. And her husband was just like, don't worry about it. And so he was just like, where are you going to go first? And I was just like, well, I'll do the whole outline first. I'll do all the edging first. That just makes it a lot quicker. And he goes, okay, cool. So I started at one end, he started at the other, and he started pulling everything out. And instead of, like pulling it up and moving it far away, like I would have had to do, he just set it up and put it in his bushes. He's like, go for it. So I remember edging the whole thing. And once I did a path back and there was enough room, he's like, is that enough room? I'm like, yep. By the time I was done doing their entire property, he had everything set back up like nothing ever happened.
Nice.
Yeah. We have this rich history here. We have writers from here. There's I can't remember her name. We talked about it on The Remarkable Magnificent Mr. Molina, the lady who wrote Remarkably Bright Creatures. She actually lives in Tacoma.
Mm.
There's lots of writers here. There's lots of entertainers here. Joe Coy did his time here because his dad was in the military.
Mm.
So he, I believe he spent time at not Stadium, not Wilson, the other one.
Lincoln?
No. I went to Lincoln. I would know if Joe Coy was there because he's 1 year older than me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Foss. There we go. I think he did time at Foss and maybe Bellarmine. I don't remember. But what I do think is cool is we have all these different entertainers from this region. And it's just like, it's not as cool as like, if it was like Rock Hudson or Dean Martin or, who's really famous, Eminem, that'd have been badass. I mean, we have our own famous musicians like Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters that, get their grunge start up here, Nirvana.
Yeah.
We have all of that. But it's not like we have that epic. I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people feel that way about Kurt Cobain. I don't know.
Yeah. Soundgarden.
Chris Cornell and Kurt Cobain, R.I.P. But, it's I don't think I hate that. I hate that part of our history that some of our most famous musicians also killed themselves one way or another. Jimi Hendrix.
That's
just, he led a life that let it short.
Yeah, I mean, that's entertainers in general. A lot of those people, artists in general, a lot of those people are very haunted people, and so they make choices that are optimal.
And Kurt Cobain being raised where he was and going through what he did, I certainly understood that, but I know it's very sad. But anyways, this isn't the sad episode. So it's really cool the amount of movies that are filmed here. I would love to take the time to look through all. I think it's now 168 movies have been filmed here. I would love to see what are the biggest grossing ones, but that takes a little more research time than I've had lately.
That makes me wonder. So Terry Brooks,
the writer of Shannara,
of the Shannara series. He's not from Washington, but he lived here for a while.
Uh-huh.
And a good portion of the Shannara series is actually set in Washington. It's just way in the future.
Uh-huh.
So it makes me wonder if any of the Elf Stones were filmed in Washington, because they had that television series for a brief period.
Yeah.
And like I said, part of it happens in Washington. Part of it is also in California.
Uh-huh.
And during the show, they show you the Space Needle and they show you the Golden Gate Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And they act like they're right next to each other.
Yeah.
But
in 250 years, that might be with the way shit's shifting.
Oregon might have disappeared and fucking.
No, the theory is that California's going to break off, rotate, and float up the coast, because that could happen.
Yeah.
Because they're not real there.
Yeah.
I mean, the San Andreas Fault keeps growing by 3 millimeters every year?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it might be wide enough to stick a foot in by the time it comes to the end of our cycles. Who knows? But we'll have to look at Terry Brooks, because for some reason I thought he was based in Colorado, but I think I'm confusing him with somebody who's related to you that's a writer in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
I think I might be getting them confused for some reason, because I was like, if my brain was any smarter, it'd be just like, hey, call up Uncle Brooks and be like, yo, motherfucker.
No, Terry Brooks is definitely not my uncle.
No, I know that. Yeah. So it's super insane, the amount of movies that have been filmed here, and quite successful movies that have been here.
Yeah.
We get a lot of shots out there of Commencement Bay, which is, obviously downtown Tacoma, the waterfront. That's what Commencement Bay is called. So you get a lot in Commencement Bay. You get a lot up in the Seattle waterfront piers. Mm-hmm. We do Eastern Washington. Why they go to Spokane? I'm guessing it's just because it's the biggest populace over there. Because there's nothing.
They have some interesting. I mean, every place in the world is like this,
mm-hmm.
but they have some interesting scenic areas over there.
Okay, fair.
Especially with the river.
Yeah.
And they highlighted a bunch of those. But other places in Washington have very scenic places. But like I said, everywhere in the world is like that. If you look around enough, you'll find some place that looks really fucking cool just for the visuals of it.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when you start thinking about these movies, especially these movies that were done 30, 35, 40 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at, I kind of want to look up these movies that were done in 1949 and 1953,
mm-hmm.
Because I would like to see how different it is. And I would really like to see how different it is from when they filmed, where is it? 1955 to Hell and Back, obviously a war movie.
Yeah.
And then there was a
War II movie.
And then there was another one too. What was it? Come on. Anyways, there's another one that's like from 1949 that I would really like to see, just so I can see what the differences are. Because what's interesting to me is I can tell you in Say Anything, one of the places where they filmed, the trees are much bigger now.
Mm-hmm. They're
huge. And they've been huge for decades,
Yeah.
Because Say Anything was filmed 36 years ago, right? So I would just love to do that shot for shot comparison, because I know that Rose Red, some of the places where they filmed outdoor scenes, they've developed houses there now.
Yeah.
So you're not, because some of that was filmed out in Spanaway, Washington. And it's really creepy that one of the guys that was supposed to die in the film actually had a heart attack before he could film this death scene. And so he died in Spanaway, Washington on a filming day. Like the day before he was supposed to film his death scene, and I think less than 2 weeks before his birthday or something.
Wow.
So, but it would be interesting to go back through and look at these, because even when you go to Twilight, which is very easy for anybody to do, and you look at Twilight, and then you look at Forks, how they have it in Twilight, which was filmed in 2006, 2007 range, so 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And you see it now, it's like, oh, that's not exactly what Forks looks like. No. Last time I was to Forks, which has been, I drove through there within the last 15 years, and I'm hoping it's much better now. It was really dingy. It looked like Skid Row. It was really, and they had this big sign where home of Twilight, and it was just like, do you ever sweep garbage? I mean, it was horrible. But so I'm hoping it was just one of those things, because every city goes through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
And but it's such cool that almost every state you get stuff filmed in, and sometimes you get blockbusters filmed there, and sometimes you get second-rate stuff filmed there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the article you were reading about the resurgence of independent films and cinema and theater is what the little bit that I read was they were talking more about these independent productions, which I think is fantastic. Leave a legacy.
Yeah.
That's, we've talked about this before about record a podcast with your family. Set up recording devices on family reunions, and then listen to it every year and capture them. Do those things to really commemorate what's going on with your family dynamic, your personal dynamic. But I definitely want to see some of these films and be like Stadium has really changed.
Yeah.
Not the outside so much, but it definitely has changed, because I remember not too many years after the filming of that, people were afraid that the whole stadium was going to slide off the hillside.
Yeah, because there was white on the water, basically on a cliff.
Yeah, and what's super crazy is, do you remember when they were doing construction, they actually found huge granite boulders where they were trying to reinforce everything? So they had a heck of a time.
Mm.
One of the boulders they found, I believe, was bigger than a city bus.
Mm.
I was like, holy shit.
The area has been scoured by glaciers and shit, so.
Not surprising, right?
Yeah.
So on this 50th episode, I know it's kind of ran long. We did a little bit more than just talk about the movies that were filmed here. So on this 50th episode, I need a little break. Do you need a little break?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need a little break. So what we're going to do is we're going to take about 2 weeks off, 10 days off. and just kind of rest and reset our brains. And then we'll come back just after the 4th of July. And or right around the 4th of July, we'll come back with a new episode, new content, a little more pop culture and history for you. But we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys. I don't know who's gonna win the battle of the countries that listen to us. I don't know if it's gonna be South America. I don't know if it's gonna be Southeast Asia or Europe. One of them is gonna win.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who it's gonna be. We'll find out at the end of this season, but that's not for a few more months.
Now we need to get people in Antarctica.
We have hit all 7 continents.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There was somebody in Antarctica that listed?
I don't think they list Antarctica as one of the places. All the places that are available for tracking, we've got listeners everywhere. I think one of the last ones to come in was Finland and New Zealand.
Okay.
Because Oceania is New Zealand and Australia.
And some of the other countries down there.
Yeah, and it was super crazy because we talked about, man, I remember when we first started and it was, man, this would be really cool to see where all to go. And then it was just North America for a while. Mm-hmm. And then it was North America and then it was the UK, so Europe. Yeah. And it was like, oh. And then it was, Ireland and Scotland. And then we got South America and Southeast Asia and Russia. Not Russia. They don't track Russia, by the way.
Oh, really?
They do not track Russia, but Ukraine. So right around that area, we are hearing it. They are hearing it. So it's really cool. We have a couple of episodes that are really super popular with music episodes are really super popular with people in Malaysia, Vietnam, and I find that very interesting. But what else I find super interesting when I was looking at the tracking a little bit more is what's really popular in Vietnam as well is prepper.
Interesting.
I find that very interesting too, because are you interested in being a prepper or are you looking at a different way to be a more self-sustaining lifestyle?
Yeah.
And, we talk about homesteading every once in a while. We don't talk about it on camera really or on mic really, but here in the house, we do talk about it. Yeah. And, last night, there was a shooting less than a block away from you.
Yeah.
And you still don't know what happened. You always have headphones on or whatever. Did you even see the police car?
No, I sleep very well.
Well, it happened at 5:15 last night. 5:15. Yeah, it was just after 5 because my partner and I'd went and done a food run, which I told you about. Good gosh.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That's crazy, right? And then we were watching the Charlize Theron and Taron Egerton movie on Netflix called Apex.
Okay, yeah, I've seen advertisements for that. I'm like, that looks kind of interesting.
It's very interesting. I'm very sad with Charlize Theron's, she says she hasn't had plastic surgery, but she's definitely at least had some lip fillers or something done because she looks like herself, but not. Okay. And it's funny because I Googled it. Has Charlize Theron had plastic surgery? She's addressed this several times and she's apparently on her Instagram or whatever. She's like, I haven't ever had plastic surgery. It's called aging, bitch. And I'm just like, when you get older, your lips tend to thin, not get fuller, but okay. So it was okay. But we were watching that and we had literally just we were like 20 minutes into it and we heard it. And I looked at my partner, I was like, that was gunshots, wasn't it? And he was like, yes. And he rolls his eyes because we're so used to hearing it now at this time. Mm-hmm. It's just something that's becoming it goes back and forth. But so now the gunshots have happened, which means for the next 2 weeks, people are going to get their windows busted in their car. It's just the cycle of how it happens. Mm. So, but yeah, apparently literally a half a block from you, I think, because the next alley down from you across from the school is where it was. 2 vehicles were damaged. One had I think they said 9 to 10 shots in it. Mm. And so somebody was hit because there was ambulance, there was fire. We heard them all. I was going to text you, but I was just like, it's your day off. I'm not going to text you on your day off. You already had to get up early to go meet your friend to hang out. So, so we talk about homesteading a lot here. Yeah. And I tell my partner the same thing. I love the idea of homesteading, but you have to have money to do it. Yeah. You have to. And he's just like, no, that's the whole point of living off the grid and off it. No, listen, you have to have money to buy the property. Yeah. And to buy the things you need to get it. It doesn't just happen overnight. We worked for somebody who was a homesteader who still, him and his wife both worked for full time. And they had just gotten to the point with their property where they were making profit. from their honey and their beef.
Nice.
Homesteading. And it was just like, and not like a good profit either.
Yeah.
Like his honey's like $4 a jar. He makes 50 cents off of every one of them.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's fucking expensive because you have to get certified. I'm not going to sit here and say the name of his company. I'm not going to say the name of his website. Just simply because they didn't know if they were going to continue for the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. They knew they were going to finish out the 23, 24 season and 25. They didn't know beyond that because the licensing had gotten so expensive. Mm-hmm. So they were putting feelers out because I'd bought the honey when they were $4 a jar. When I asked him about honey again, it was $7 a jar for the same 4-ounce jar.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a little, but he did make me a deal too for 10, but he never did get me the second one. So, he scammed me out of $3 or whatever. Anyways, so I love the idea of homesteading, but that is one thing in Southeast Asia they love. In Vietnam, especially Vietnam, Brazil, and Argentina, they really love the stuff about music. And I think it's because when we talk about different music and everything, we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
The Gwar one was one that really surprised me, that it's kind of the ones about Gwar, waging war with lyrics. That one, which, yes, I'm a wordsmith sometimes. That one really surprised me that it kind of jumped up where it did. But the one that surprised me the most.
That is awesome.
Well, I realized, so I have a friend that I work with that I adore so very much, and they mean the world to me. And I realized I walked into work the other day. Nobody's supposed to know that we're friends outside of work at all. It's a very hush-hush secret thing. But I realized that I had to be very careful because I didn't think in the moment. I just heard this song by Chapel Rowan called Pink Pony Club.
Yeah.
And so as I'm listening to the song in my car, I'm hearing Gwar singing it in my head. Blothar. Singing it in my head. So I walked into the production room and I started singing Pink Pony Club like Blothar. And I didn't realize until after I'd stepped away for a few minutes, and I started looking around to see who all was there. Because I know the one person, he's an older guy, and he's not forgetful, but like he's not a social butterfly either, right? So he's not going to remember. And everybody else was too far away. The only person who there was only 2 people that would have even remotely connected it weren't there.
Yeah.
One had called out and one was on a day off, and I was like, Jesus, for small miracles. And no other manager saw it because only 2 managers there know that I know this individual outside of work.
Yeah.
Or at least remember it.
Yeah.
So anyways, Blothar. But I think because we have such fun with the music, and we have fun when we talk movies too. Kindergarten Cop is the Kindergarten Hero is doing really well. But the one that really surprised me, first of all, was when Mommy said to me, "Hi, Mommy."
Hi, Mommy.
Hi, Mommy. Was when Mommy said to me, so I know that my sibling was playing an episode for her, but she goes, "What is this book series you keep talking about?" And I said, "It's Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files." Mm-hmm. And she goes, "What is it about it?" And I said, I don't like it when somebody tells me, "Oh, you have to read it," which it's not you. Mm-hmm. It's our other mutual acquaintance friend.
Yeah.
Frenemy. It's my frenemy. I don't know. I might pee on him if he was on fire, but
anyway,
I don't. Only thing I care about is that he's good to you. That's all I care about, right? So, anyways, so I said I couldn't really stand when somebody's sitting there and telling you have to, like having a sibling going, "Oh, you got to listen to AC/DC, they're the best band in the world." No thanks. I'll go with Metallica. I'm good. But I do like AC/DC. Mm-hmm. But it's one of the reasons why I wouldn't listen to AC/DC or Queen. I've never been able to stand that. It's like, hey, why don't you try to give them a listen? And then when you reintroduce me to it, Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files. So I tell her, I was like, it's this, and and I told her, I said, because it's funny. Yeah. I said, it is a complete science fantasy world. All the things we wish were true in life, all the things we're scared could be true in life. I was just like, and it's funny. I was like, the humor starts out pretty dry, but I was just like, it makes me laugh. It makes me cry. It makes me think. I was like, there are characters I'm just so in love with that their death would cause absolute mortification. I remember, spoiler alert, 12 months, we talk about what had happened in Battleground, which is the death of the iconic Karen Murphy.
Yeah.
And, when I read that, I was literally, and it was so funny because I kind of mentioned something about it earlier, the first thing I thought was, thank God it wasn't Butters. Literally, because Butters, you've got Harry, you've got Mouse, you've got Maggie and Butters, and they're just all my favorite people. Mm-hmm. But if I have to have anybody, I'd rather see Ebenezer die than Butters. Yeah. I would rather see, I hate to say this and I sound like such a see you next Tuesday, but I'd rather Billy the Werewolf die than Butters. I would rather Michael Carpenter die. I would rather Molly die than Butters.
Yeah.
So, but what's interesting to me, so Mommy asked about that and I was telling her, right? And then I was looking at the stats the other day because I'm like, okay, I knew I was going to want to take a break because it's just, I've had a couple of weeks with some stuff at work where I've had to work and fill in more, which is fine, but I'm just not in that mental state of mind anymore where a 40-hour work week is cohesive to my good mental health, which we'll talk about mental health here. We'll probably talk about how mental health helps. Anyways, 12 months was the fastest listened to episode we've had. 12 months. Now, we've talked about Harry. We've talked about the Dresden Files. But 12 months had, in the first 30 days, has had the fastest listens to get up to where it's at.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy to me because it's the fastest in the fact that 3/4 of the listenings of we would call it, I guess, views, but it's the listens.
Yeah.
3/4 of those happened within the first 10 days and accounts for 3/4 of the listening. And about every other week, it gets more listens. Yeah. So it's really interesting to me to watch all this. So we need a break. We're going to take a break. We're having a hot spell come in. FIFA's in town. So we're going to take a break and then we'll come back like right before 4th of July or right after, one or the other.
Yeah.
And, and then we'll move on with the second half of the season because everybody needs a break because I can't keep working with you sounding all sickly and stuff. You actually sound better now than you did this morning because now that you've actually talked.
Now that I've spent more than 3 minutes talking for the entire day.
Yeah, I have a feeling you're like me at work where it's just like there are days where you just don't engage with anybody. It's just nod and I'm doing my work. I'm nod, I'm doing my work. I get it. I laughed with a co-manager on Saturday and she had a snarky comment about somebody and that's just her. She's not happy unless somebody around her is unhappy.
Yeah.
Is more miserable than her life. And it's a really sad way to be because if she could set that aside, if she really could set that aside, she has a plethora of knowledge when it comes to like heavy metal music and horror movies. She'd be a great guest to talk to about those things. But I can't stand that somebody's got to be doing worse than me or I'm not happy.
Yeah.
Somebody's constantly got to be in turmoil. And so she was being snarky about something. And I don't even need to say what it is because it doesn't matter. And I remember laughing and I started laughing. She goes, "Oh, you find that funny too?" And I said, "No, I find it funny that y'all expect a different result." I was like, "Do you understand how unwelcoming it is around here?" She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "People are like, welcome, welcome, welcome. And the minute you don't do exactly what they ask, so you're doing what the boss asks, then you're the target. Then, you're terrible. You're awful. You're the worst." And I said, it's a mentality that needs to be broken.
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, you don't still feel that way." And I looked at her and I said, "Some days I do." I said, and this is literally how I put it to her. I said, this is no offense to anybody else. I said, what the big boss says is law. So what the big boss says is really the law. And then our big boss says what's the law. And I do that. I was like, but because I'm the new guy, I do whatever you guys write down. I was just like, and you damn well better bet that I keep a list of it. And I make sure I email my boss every day like I'm supposed to. When I'm not doing an EOS report, you what? I email about my activities and who told me to do what, because I have to explain. Don't you remember? She told us all we need to explain what we're doing when we're not doing EOS reports. The response I got was, I'm not going to do that because I worked here this long and I don't need to do that. She asked us, but that was the exact same response I got from everybody. And I was just like, do you see how unwelcoming it would feel that you're targeting me? I'm getting targeted. Well, it's not that we're targeting you. I said, if I'm the only one doing it, and I've got the boss yelling at me because nobody else is doing it, why am I doing it? When that's what they said to do. And I was just like, do you see how unwelcoming it is? Do you see why I would feel targeted? I was just like, I was just like, and then the false accusations and the false statements that happened over this other situation, I was just like, I'm not a petty penny, but let me tell you what, If you think for a minute you are welcoming to anybody in this company, you're wrong. And it's just a mentality that has to change. So now we have this new person, and this manager says to me, "What do you think of her?" And I just look her dead in the face and, "Oh, I like her just fine. I've complimented her work, and I've told her I think it's admirable how hard she's trying to pick everything up, and not to worry about the little mistakes as long as she lets us know and not hide them." Which she doesn't know. I'd already been told, "Oh, you're much nicer when I make a mistake than this person or that person," because I know what it's like to be targeted.
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll take a break. We'll have a good time. 4th of July is almost here. This fucking heat wave needs to end. Viva la FIFA. You know, I told you that joke that customer sent to me the other day. Oh, nobody's painting gonna get no work's gonna get.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I thank the listeners. I'm glad they're with us.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be back in 10 or 12 days. Just a few days. Get us things taken care of, and yeah. And I'll do more research on the movies.
Okay.
And we'll talk more about them in the future.
Okay.
Because the movies are great. It's wild. It's movie magic happening all over Washington, and it's really cool to see it amp up. I remember Twin Peaks, the TV show,
and
of course
I never watched it, but
it was stupid. But fun fact, I had a psychology class in 11th grade, and I did an entire report based on Twin Peaks and how they use true mental health disorders to entertain us. And I got an A+ on that motherfucker, okay? I remember my teacher going, "I didn't realize." I'm like, "You've got somebody who's a DID." But of course, it's only been recently called DID. Back then, it was multiple personality disorder. You have somebody who's got multiple personality disorder. You have somebody who's antisocial, and you have somebody who is psychotic, and you have somebody who's a serial killer. So these are all mental health disorders, and we're glorifying it. Like I explained everything I'd seen in the season and how it all correlates to each other, and the teacher was just like, "Whoa, you think I can remember it all now?" Nope. And I delivered because I always get stage fright in front of when people are looking at me and I can see it. I almost get stage fright and or a form of it. And I remember I got high as fuck before that class, and because I was so nervous. Not then, man. I got up on the podium and like, "Let me tell y'all about this show that exploits mental health illness," and we're all entertained by it. Yeah. Anyways, until next time.
Yep.
See you soon.
Later.
Bye. Okay, everybody. That's all the time we have for today. So I want to thank you for stopping by to enjoy the conversation. We're glad you're here, and please share and share again and share some more. And if you haven't already, subscribe. We'll be having another chat and another cup soon. We'll talk to you then. Look forward to seeing you.